You know, ever since MONGRAAL stepped into the scene, I mean, he's been considered one of the world's best Fortnite players. Fast forward 2 years, and he's still out there winning big. So what is it that sets MONGRAAL apart from the average Joe? And what can we learn by looking at his playstyle? Bunch of Crunch Army, where you at? Your motivation guy is back, and today we're gonna be diving into the playstyle of none other than FaZe MONGRAAL and looking at what he does right and what he does wrong.
When discussing MONGRAAL's strengths, it'd be a disservice not to bring up his aim.
Let's go, that kid only had an AR. Nice.
Get out! Don't ever call me shit again! You're both dog shit compared to me, bro.
Seriously, guys, like whether at close range with shotguns or long range with ARs, it's crazy how many shots MONGRAAL can actually land. You know, it's no wonder why, he's considered one of the best shooters in Fortnite, especially when using rifles, right? Like his crosshair just locks into players and just perfectly tracks. Even with some of the more difficult shots, like the mid-air targets, MONGRAAL with the rifle in his hands, yo, it can ruin their day. But what's the deal, bro? Like, was MONGRAAL just born with like godly hand-eye coordination or something like that? Maybe, he definitely wouldn't have such incredible aim without the time he puts into his aim trainers. But, I'm talking both in-game ones like Skavox, which, you could just play with this creative code. And, and ones outside of Fortnite like Kovacs. With those, MONGRAAL focuses on improving two types of aim, all right? Short range flicks and tracking, which is really smart because sometimes the flick shots you might take are long, but more often, you're just doing a tiny adjustment after building or editing. So short flicks are vital to really get good at, especially when you practice proper crosshair placement like MONGRAAL does. And of course, AR aim is all about tracking, guys. Rifles are so crucial in Fortnite, and they're a massive part of MONGRAAL's playstyle, which we're going to show you a little later. So he focuses on having the best rifle aim he possibly can. All right, MONGRAAL's got so good at his aim like through practice, but sometimes that's not necessarily how we all learn. Like if you're still struggling to learn some of the finer mechanics like this, you guys, I tell you all the time, we tell you every single day, you got to check out ProGuides.com, and you have to talk to one of our 24/7 coaches. I mean, if you haven't tried it, what are you waiting for? I mean, you could check it out, just try it out, just see if it works for you, Sometimes we don't really learn as well on our own, and having a good coach can really help your game, bro. Like it'll take your game to the next level. Anyways, all right, back to MONGRAAL. The fact that he puts in so much work, to improve his aim has been a massive reason for his success. It's the same reason his builds and edits are just so quick and so smooth. Edit courses and creative free building have historically been a massive part of his warm-up routine. Although talking about aim again, we should also point out his sensitivity, more specifically, his targeting sense. He keeps that low at 30%, and low is good, low is precise, right? Most players would be better off decreasing their targeting sense to something lower than 50%. It just really helps with rifle aim. But that brings us to our next point. MONGRAAL isn't afraid to change his settings. Throughout his whole career, he's done that, guys. Stretch res, colorblind mode, optimal binds, whatever he can just get an advantage with. And now, our favorite thing he's changed, he bound his weapon pickup to scroll wheel. So when he spins it, he just vacuums up everything way faster than spamming a key. Kind of a cheesy strat, but it works, man. It wins MONGRAAL lots of 50-50s, and it's all because of his willingness to experiment with new things. All right, moving on. Another area where MONGRAAL shines is situational awareness. Like, how chess grandmasters can think 10 or 20 moves ahead? That's what he does. That's what it feels like when you play against MONGRAAL. Not only is he a top-notch at predicting enemies in fights, but his general decision-making also deserves credit. So in our analysis, all right, check this out. Like, we really enjoyed seeing how MONGRAAL didn't mindlessly stampede into every fight. He actually exhibited really restrained behavior because you don't always have an advantage entering fights. And without one, they realistically aren't worth taking, at least when you're really trying to win. And when things weren't going his way, MONGRAAL would sometimes even disengage entirely to play out the rest of his match and get those placement points. Something way more players actually need to do rather than just committing to already lost fights. Anyways, like, not all of us are as fast thinking as MONGRAAL, I get it, but it's always good to think about the impact your decision is going to have, minutes down the line before you make that play. Speaking of which, all right, we need to talk about MONGRAAL's end games. Are you guys ready for this? Come on now. Bunch of Crunch Army. Hope you guys still here. Let's go. This is the part of the match MONGRAAL absolutely kills it. Okay, and let's take a look why. One thing we notice is that Mongrel prioritizes controlling high ground, especially in team modes where it's more valuable. To do this, all right, he inches his way up the mid-ground layers until he reaches a point where he can find an opening, usually in the form of a beam on height. Then once he's applied pressure, I mean, he typically uses mobility to close the gap. And from height, he's always, I repeat guys, he's always shooting. Obviously for kills, but also to waste enemy mats and, you know, just keep enemies down low. So one of Mongrel's biggest strengths is his rifle aim. So the many angles high ground provides is a significant deal for him. But sometimes high ground is off the table. Like in those cases, Mongrel still manages to do exceptionally well. Some strats that, you know, he uses include utilizing enemy builds for cover, staying ahead of the storm, positioning near the edge of the storm, and forcing impact kills when he needs a refresh. So if you can remember back to the World Cup era, Mongrel clutched several of his qualifications through his in-game performance, and this goes back to his situational awareness. Mongrel is so good at moving really quickly in the end game because, you know, he doesn't have to think as hard about each move. All the experiences he's like got and, you know, the VOD reviewing he's done has been instrumental in growing his skills to the point where he's just thinking instinctively. And, you know, if you're trying to grow to that point, just know that it takes tons of self-reflection on your mistakes. You know, if you don't look back at losses and, you know, learning experience like Mongrel does, you're going to fail to improve as a player. And I want you to know, not everybody is Mongrel or going to play like Mongrel. I get it, but you can take these tips and apply it to your own life and apply it to your own in-game skills and strats and everything that you're doing to help you improve at the game, right? And you got to believe in yourself. Like, I really think it starts there. Like, if you think that you're never ever going to get to that next level, then why bother? Like, if you don't believe in yourself, nothing else is going to follow after that. And so I encourage you, as your motivation guy right now, you have to believe in yourself. You know, scratch everything that you've been through, and every single day is a new start. All right. So today is a new start. And I want you to think like that. Tomorrow is a new start. And every single day, you're getting better. You're getting better. Work on those weaknesses and get better. All right. So we got to get here. What does Mongrel do wrong? Here we go. Well, this probably isn't a revelation, but Mongrel kind of has anger issues. Anybody have anger issues out there? Anybody? Is it just me? Is it just me? Come on, let's be real.
Game, I swear this game is so
I've never heard you raise your hand.
If I'm in World Cup qualifiers, this happened, I promise, wallahi, I'm breaking everything in my house and moving to Somalia.
Like, you know, he plays up his rage for the stream, right? It's hilarious. Rest in peace to the keyboards. He's definitely smashed. But at times, it's kind of real though, right? Like, and when he's in a 3-hour grueling tournament with multiple games, feeling constant frustration toward the game, I mean, that can have a severe effect on your performance. It might have to do with the fact that Mongrel sets such high expectations for himself. Like, when you have expectations for yourself, it's the easiest to get frustrated, especially really super high expectations, right? When those expectations are not met, that disappointment hits you. It like burns inside of you. You just want to let it out and scream and go crazy, right? So, you know, the whole entire world was calling him one of the best among millions. So when something goes wrong with Mongrel, it probably really gets to him. And, you know, moving past tilt isn't easy, right? There's really no instant fix to this. But, I mean, there are some psychological tricks such as taking deep breaths or placing yourself in a positive, casual environment. That really does help, guys. Trust me. If anybody knows about how to overcome tilt, it's your boy. It's your motivation guy. That's for sure. So if you haven't noticed, Mongrel's at his best when he's playing duels or trios. And we think that might be because he's hanging out with his friends, you know, which calms him down, obviously. And he's placing himself in a positive environment that lowers his stress levels, and that results in him thinking much more clearly. But that's all really meta stuff. Like, as for actual in-game, like mistakes, sure, Mongrel occasionally messes up edits or takes missteps that puts him in lousy positions, but we wanted to look at consistent mistakes. So, all right, we loaded up Mongrel's DreamHack replays where he played with Mitro, and one thing that really stuck out was his material management during the early game. Okay, so out of the games we analyzed, at least 3 of Mongrel's deaths could have been prevented if he just farmed more mats. These weren't impossible to win scenarios either, just some 2v2s in typical situations, oftentimes where Mongrel starts off with an opening but ends up losing once builds start flying out. And for why such a great player is skipping out on, you know, such an essential step, we noticed a couple of reasons. For one, farming takes time, which typically means less looting and more challenging time, you know, gaining a positional advantage in your drop spot. But secondly, farming gives your position away sometimes, and it seems Mongrel doesn't want that to happen. His early game playstyle is really based on sneaking up on opponents, usually through natural high ground. and hitting huge openings so that he can just swiftly finish them off, right? But if at any point you give your position away, you probably won't be landing any surprise attacks in your enemies. So MONGRAAL does ignore farming for a good reason, but still, like, we think he could definitely strike a much better balance. If he just hit more objects or set a material number for himself before engaging, like at least 250 mats. Other than those two issues though, like MONGRAAL really doesn't have any more consistent patterns of misplays. Guess that's no real surprise considering he's one of the best in the entire world.
You know, ultimately, MONGRAAL excels in many areas. I mean, he's become one of the best aimers due to the time he puts into training, and he's still pretty good at analyzing his surroundings before making decisions. But MONGRAAL's downfalls include a tendency to tilt, as well as a lack of material farming for early game fights. But hey, if you guys noticed something about MONGRAAL's gameplay that we didn't, let us know down in the comments section below. If you guys liked the video, you already know what to do. Subscribe to the channel and make sure to connect with me on my Instagram at Your Motivation Guy. Keep grinding. I'm so proud of you guys. I'll see you soon.